Welcome back to Climbing Psychology. Today I'll be sharing my experience with my progression from when I started climbing and a year after. This is a video it's the very first video that I have when I started climbing. It's a 5A, and I've already done this 5A before, so it wasn't the first time that I topped it. It wasn't my very first experience. People don't usually make videos of the very first time you go doing a random sport. And I was very scared, but also proud of this 5A. When I started climbing, it was actually in the middle of the pandemic, and I had a little bit of background with strength training. I was training 3 times a week for half an hour, 45 minutes for around 1 year. When I started, I wasn't able to do a pull-up. So I found that climbing was challenging, but also very fun. And after around one month, I discovered it's problem solving, and that it was actually made me hook and so passionate about climbing right from the start. After that, I don't have as many videos. I started bouldering. I was bouldering alone, and so I really don't have many videos. And it also happened very quickly that the gym closed for the pandemic and closed for a couple of months. I have some videos that I did at another gym that didn't close. It was a commercial gym where you have a very little wall, but I was able to do already all those boulders. So it wasn't very training, and I started going there later in time, but it's still something. This is the gym that I was talking about. Yes, the boulders are not graded, neither here nor in my climbing club. So I cannot really tell you which grades are, but this was one of the hardest boulders of the little wall. So you see that it's not too hard. Back to the Clitter Club. I was very proud of this problem. Orange problems, we don't really have grades in our gym, and the grades are really off. So I am not very sure what grade to give them. I will be giving you the grades of lead and top rope climbing. Here I was really discovering the nuances of heel hooks and toe hooks, and how to get rid of my very bad ankle mobility and try to finish the boulders anyway. But yeah, I really like this boulder for the Gaston. And then we have February and March. In March, I actually studied route setting, and that was very important in my development because it made me closer to the community, and I made a lot of friends. And I also started doing rope climbing. I started doing rope climbing because I felt like I had too little problems in the bouldering area, because the bouldering, it's very small, and usually we have very hard boulders. And so I didn't have enough variety for me to develop and to improve as much as I wanted. So I decided to get over my fear of heights, my fear of falling, and try to commit. And as you see here, when I moved to rope climbing, I was already able to do 6A pluses, and here I was trying to do this 6B plus and a couple of 6B plus, and I also started crack climbing. That is the very first time that I crack climbed, the video on the right, and it was very, very fun, and I still continue now. Around May, I started also going outdoors a bit. This is the first time I bouldered outdoors, and I was doing this 5A, and it felt incredibly hard compared to everything I did in the gym. It was so different, but it was very fun. While on the right you have a video from June in which I was doing this 6A plus route that I almost flashed, almost on-sighted actually, but almost doesn't count. And it was very, very fun. Then in August, I started my very first hard project. It was this Purple 6C. It was so technical and crimpy. I was just completely in love with it. Actually, the root setter is one of my most important friends at the moment. And there finally was this blue 7A, very crimpy, felt like very my style, overhanging, and just very fun. It took me 2 months to do it, and some time later it was actually upgraded to 7A plus. So I think that compensates for not fitting completely into the 1 year interval. And that was it. That was my 1 year progression. For the factors that allowed me to improve so much, I have to say that I had so many contingencies and very lucky things happening that actually impacted my improvement a lot. First of all, my girlfriend is a foot technologist and personal trainer, so I have been training very mindfulnessly and very intentional in my climbing. I was climbing 4 times a week. I'm still climbing 4 times a week, and I have one additional day with strength training, so I'm training a lot. Then I have to say that the climbing club is very accessible, is extremely cheap, and I got so much into it that I became part of the board. So now I am part of the organization of the club itself. I am the boulder responsible, even though I identify more as a lead climber at the moment. And I made so many friends, and so many of them are so knowledgeable. And as I said before, one of my best friends is a root setter, and we set problems and routes for each other. If I have a project, I can wait to take them down. I can ask if I can have it on the wall for a while longer. So I have so many privileges. And I am a PhD student, so I'm very flexible. I can choose when to train. I have the keys of the climbing club because I'm part of the board. I have many privileges. And finally, I have to say that I had the possibility to get so much information through internet. Maybe it was also because of the pandemic and the climbing club closing for 2 months, but I was able to learn a lot for injury prevention, for improving my technique, to improve my strength. I worked on improving my strength, but for example, I never did some proper finger strength training, never did any type of campusing. And so I tried to focus on the technique and getting efficient and a lot of volume. And then you have information about nutrition. Obviously, my girlfriend is a great source for this. And obviously, I do apply the things that I study myself. So I use psychology as well. I think that all of these factors taken together can more or less explain my progression. But I wanted to make sure to talk about them because it's important that we state all the privileges and all the things that allows us to help. And most of the times people don't have the accessibility or the resources that we see about people in the internet. We always look at the greatest, the best, and we never see what's underneath it. So I just wanted to say that we need to remind ourselves that most of the time when we see people on the internet, we see the best and we see what they do, but we don't really see how lucky they are. And even when you see the average person like me, I'm not average at all, but not because I'm special, because I had so many privileges. The gym is 5 minutes from my house. I have the keys. I have a girlfriend that helps me, providing me the perfect training program for me. I have friends that bring me outdoors and suggest me the perfect project and tell me which things are best for me to improve on. And my friends are very strong too. They're very knowledgeable. I have internet. These are not to give for granted. So remember that your progression is your own, that you have no hurry at all, that there is really no hurry to just push the grades. You can focus on having fun, and what you do is not defining yourself. Remember that no one starts at the same point. We all have our backgrounds, and let's focus on our development without the pressure from society. So with this, I'll see you in the next video, and stay psyched.